I don't know. Go for it, bro.
And we're back! As you can tell, there's something clearly different from how things
The entire setup is just this is disarray.
Okay, so clearly we're not having the whole thing here. We could have gotten a boom mic, but that wasn't a thought. Welcome back.
Because this...
We clearly have a guest.
Can you cue the intro?
Yeah, just cue the intro. This is Two Latin Brothers Podcast, also known as T.L.B.P. I'm Victor.
And I'm Adrian.
We're back at it again with another not vlog. Just felt the need to say that. We have a guest that you guys haven't seen. Well, you haven't seen his face.
But you have heard him before.
You have heard him before every year around the same week for the last 3 years.
For the last 3 years. Yeah, literally the last 3. We have had you on. Okay, so this is kind of funny. I'm trying to do this with another person, but like we lost an episode and it was a whole thing. It's anyway. That's not the point. The point is that every season since we've started, you have been on episode 16.
Oh really?
Every single time you've been on the podcast.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Every single time. So like now it's just become like a running bit. Or like I'm like we'll be like in the middle of March like, bro, Hser Pwa's episode's coming up. And he's like, what? I'm like, Hser Pwa's episode's coming up. He's like, dude, already? I'm like, yeah. So like...
So we're like, we gotta text him. Text him early so that way he actually rearranges his life.
Like, also now that like you're in school and like, it's just... I can't remember.
I didn't know your hours. And also, I knew it was gonna be around exam time.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We have like, quite literally, just... Like, we had so many other things that we had planned out before the pandemic. And then just, like, picture, like, an entire schedule, and it just got shifted, like, so far away. But, I mean, the fact that we've been able to keep this going is kind of funny. But at the same time, like, imagine now, like, next year it'll probably be even worse. Because, like, exams, like, I'm
true.
like... It'll just keep going endlessly. I have a feeling we're gonna have to start recording in March. Your episode of like a March. That way we're like ready.
Just move it longer and longer.
Just have episode 14 for like the next 2 weeks.
Just like, oh, we're good. Okay, we got it.
Oh wait, no, episode 15 because you're episode 16.
Yeah, he's episode 16.
Right. Yeah, so we'd have to have episode 15 for 2 weeks and just the trip.
Well, like so this time around, like the idea was like, okay, let's record a week early. That way he's not like, because our exam week is this week coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, everyone's hearing this at the end of exam week.
Yeah, there's so much exam this week.
And then like, so I'm like, let's record a week in advance. And then you're like, I have an exam. And we're like, what? And you're like, I have an exam like literally this week that just passed. And we're like, okay, so clearly we can't do this. Let's see how we figure this out.
Yeah. And now we're here. The reveal of Hser Pwa.
He's like, oh, he's like, look at me. I mean,
right, she get a soundboard on the side, just clapping. That'd be great.
Yeah,
I got that's just like there's too many things I gotta get done.
Yeah,
there's too many things I gotta get done.
Way too many things.
We also, I don't know if you could look in this direction. See all that stuff over there? All that stuff's supposed to be on a wall somewhere. On this wall. It's only been sitting there for months now. But I'm like,
oh, so you're still playing it out?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm like, but like it's all this negative space. But I'm like, I don't know. And then like we have
the Grogu, but you can if you go on our YouTube channel you can see the.
You can tell I wore green just to match him.
We were like,
sort of. Yeah.
We're like we were also having the idea of like putting him like up on top of the couch. So he's just like
cool.
right here.
But then
it's like I don't really.
But then
know.
like when you lean back, like your head will like hit it,
okay, yeah, I see
and they don't look weird because like it looks like you're using him like a headrest.
And then the backlash in the Star Wars community is just too great.
That's true.
I don't want to get canceled. That's really what this is. I'm trying not to get canceled. That's all this all of this equates to is like I'm just trying not to get canceled.
Exactly. That's exactly what
Which is why we edit and post.
Yeah. So Hser Pwa, how has university been treating you?
I think many people can relate. Wasn't ready. I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, most people aren't ready, right?
Well, because like the last time we talked to you, you were in high school, right?
Yeah, that was very different. I was actually happy back then.
You were actually happy.
Lost a lot of my...
back then.
That's why we have reading week for those who aren't happy.
Yeah. Okay. Mind you, I mean, in the province we're in, you only had reading week like the first semester.
Yeah.
Second semester only. This is gonna get really dark. Only came into play because someone wrote a letter to the administration about how they were struggling, and then proceeded to off themselves.
Wait.
I'm not. This is a real story. Like I'm being dead serious.
Yeah, he's being dead
this
serious.
actually happened. So then the province got together and we're like, we need to implement this. Like this is
Like clearly,
like, this is
clearly our students need mental rest.
I did
like
not know
this is
that.
yeah.
this happened many
imagine
years
this.
ago.
He basically paid people to torture his mind,
That's one way to put it. That
Well, like
and he wasn't
That's
being
scary.
given a break. And he paid for that not break.
you're not wrong.
I mean, like no, but like ultimately, like I guess it worked out, but like you know, like
I mean, it worked out for
unfortunate-
us.
It's
Unfortunate
unfortunate
outcome,
the
though.
way it played out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know what's crazy? A lot of places, like they a lot of universities were like, okay, let's do this, and a lot of colleges were like, I don't think so.
Wait, really?
Yeah, a lot of colleges were like, I don't think so, because when I started college 6 years ago,
Alright.
which is crazy to think about, when I started college 6 years ago, there wasn't one in the second semester yet.
Damn, really?
Yeah, I only had it like the first. So he would be on March break, and everybody like, "Where's yours coming?" I'm like, "I don't have one." They're like, "That can't be right." I'm like, "No, I literally don't have one." But it also meant that I finished a week earlier,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
right?
that makes sense.
But ultimately now it's like you look at it and it's like, well, now I finished a week late because they added a whole week, and it's like, it's a whole thing.
Either way, we get 4 months now instead of high school.
Yeah.
Only having 2.
He's like so excited. He's like, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't
For
wait
this
to
to be-
start working and just not enjoy my summer.
I can't wait to have a job and just not have to do it.
Yeah, the high school to like college or university is just. I didn't like that change.
Yeah.
Mentally was not ready at all.
Most people aren't, but you know what? I think it comes down to the fact that you may not ever be ready.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like either you take the leap or you'll never get there. Because I know people who they left school and they went like I don't know like 3-4 years without doing school because they would like finish high school and they're like, oh, I'll work for a year. That year turned into another year and like I'll work for another. I'll save some money this time around, and then they like save money and then they're like, oh, maybe another year, because this is like I'll get like $10,000. That's like nothing. So then they do another year and then they end up like doing like 4 or 5 years without school. Then they try to jump right back into school where they left off, but they forgot everything.
Yeah, I heard something about that.
Because like,
It's really
and
hard.
especially the one course that really messes people up is math. Because if you don't practice math, you forget math.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Hser Pwa, you don't understand. I had to do math this semester, and I'm not kidding. I struggled so hard to get through that class because I, for the life of me, could not remember like certain things. I was like, but it's only been like 6 years. It hasn't been that long.
My first semester, I had to take fundamental math.
Oh.
And I was forgetting so much. I'm like, how do I divide? I was like, how do fractions work again?
Suddenly you're like, how do I do long
No,
division?
because think about it.
What's this remainder thing?
Think about it. You leave high school and you're doing quadratics, you're doing functions,
Yeah.
you're doing vectors, you're doing a bunch of stuff, and
Right.
then all of a sudden you get to college and you're like, okay, we're gonna review your fundamentals, and we're like, oh shoot, how do I do my fundamentals?
No, right, no, but like what's crazy, okay, so like, you know when you're talking about vectors, I forgot how to do all of that. Like someone went through my
Yeah.
brain and just hit delete. Like, you don't need this. You'll never need this again. Just delete it. So I was like sitting like trying to learn. I was like watching YouTube videos, like trying to absorb this knowledge again. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm just broken. Maybe
Thank
that's
the
what
Lord
it is.
for Math Antics, honestly. That YouTube channel, big shout out.
Honestly, it saved me so hard. No, but there's a lot of stuff like that where like you just forget it.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? I remember like the dumbest stuff. Like, think about it. Like, I can remember like how Pythagoras, like the Pythagorean, all that. Like, I remember all that stuff, all that detail. E equals mc squared. Like all that stuff. Albert Einstein. I can remember all those details, but I can't remember how to make all that stuff.
Oh.
Like, I can't remember how to write it all down. Like, if you ask me to write the formula for energy, I don't know what it looked like. Like, I don't remember, but I know what it is. I know how to use it, like in context, but I don't know how to write it down.
Yeah, that's literally my entire life.
No, but
I
you
don't
see,
know, like, do you know when a teacher messes up and they write something on the board and they're like, oh wait, forget that. I remember what they wrote just because they used the word forget that, which makes
Damn.
absolutely no sense. And then I forget what they actually wanted us to learn. Like, that's the details I remember. I don't know
Your
why.
brain's is sabotaging you.
I know, always, constantly, literally. Memory is my issue.
but it's like,
Watch Jimbo's last episode if you want to know about our disabilities.
Oh.
yeah, we have an episode where we get like really deep into it, and we have one of my friends on, and it's like, he's just quiet like half the episode because he's just letting us like basically complain about our disabilities. And he's like, "That's really interesting. You know, maybe." And the guy, this is where it got funny. It's like, maybe you guys should figure out how to tackle this in a way where it's not a detriment to you. And we're like, "What do you think we've been doing for like since our existence?"
Yeah.
But like,
Damn.
it's not like to say that like school is hard. We know it's worse when you're done school.
Oh yeah.
That's actually harder.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. Like, I thought about taking like a gap year, but I was like, like mentally, I don't think I could have done it because.
Oh, now that you've done like basically the first year, you're like, if I would have taken that break, I would have dropped out first semester. 2 weeks in, you would have dropped out because you're like, I can't do this. It's too much work. Like, and that's the problem, right? Like, a lot of people, every time someone comes up and they're like, "Oh, I'm thinking of taking a gap year," I'm like, "Are you sure though? Like, you don't understand?" And they go, "It'll be fine." I'm like, "No, you don't understand. Like, I'm on the other side of this. You can't tell." Especially like your guys' year.
Oh, yeah.
There were so many people. I was like, every time they'd be like, "Yeah, I'm taking a gap year." I'm like, "No, don't do it.
Yeah.
What are you doing?"
It's like you don't think it's a mistake, and not saying that it is a mistake.
Yeah.
Because some people can do.
Yeah, it definitely works out for some.
But like, the stopping of being on that grind, right?
Yeah.
Continuous.
It's so detrimental.
It can really mess you up. I think the other issue too is the fact that like, one of the, you suddenly you don't have a structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have a schedule, and you're not holding yourself up to what you need to get.
Because you're
done.
so used to it.
Yeah. But in that gap year.
So like, look.
Wait. But in that gap year, what you're basically teaching yourself is to have no schedule, have no organization, and how to procrastinate.
Yeah.
So here's my okay. So my entire semester, all my classes were in the evening. At what time do you think I wake up?
Oh. Really early?
I wake up at noon.
Oh.
Because all my classes are in the evening. Like I have on Monday, my first class is at 4 p.m.
Oh wow.
Because they're all in the evening. I have classes.
All that late classes.
I have a class that starts at 3, and then I don't finish till like 8 o'clock at night.
Monday's my busiest.
But you know what I mean? Like it's that's the way like my schedule was made, right? So all my mornings are free. So you know what ends up happening? I'm up to like 2 a.m. and then I sleep till like noon, and then I go on about my day.
But that's because of the schedule we have, right?
But like literally like 2 years ago, before the pandemic, I had like a job where I was waking up at like 8 in the morning, going to work. Like it's just like the like polar opposite. I'd be done by 4, where now I'm starting class. Like it's one of those things where like if you lose the structure, it all falls apart. And now I'm looking for a job, and I'm dreading the 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. morning because it's like, what are you guys doing? What is it? Like, because it's just like my structure. Also, like, mind you, like, I'm like the worst when it comes to sleep. Like, I am the worst person when it comes to sleep.
I'm the greatest.
Yeah, because he can wake up. He's a morning person, and I'm not.
I'm pretty sure I texted Victor at like 3 in the morning today to tell him. Oh,
At
yeah,
2 something in the morning. I saw it and I'm like,
I was like,
I saw it and I'm like,
I couldn't sleep.
I was like, I'm not gonna answer this.
He's like, I'm not gonna answer this till I wake up.
Like literally, I saw it and I'm like,
I respect Victor.
I'm like, because I know you can see I'm online, and I'm like,
I saw Victor.
I'm like,
You know what's funny? I
didn't respond because I wanted you to go to sleep.
I respect that. I literally used to leave my Instagram logged in on my laptop, so it always looked like I was online. Because I never shut off my laptop. So it's always on, and I leave it open in the background, so I was always online. And people are like, dude, you're always on Instagram. Like, when are you ever not on
You checked your statistics, and like
no,
you're just on like 24 hours a day. I'm like, oh.
Like, how are you doing? Like, how does your phone not die? Like,
it's like your Epic account too.
Yeah.
For like when you play Fortnite, he never logs out of his Epic launcher, so he's always online.
because it's always open in the background. Like, I'm always online, and like I'll be like doing something. And it'll be really funny because like I'll be in the middle of a request and I'm in the middle of a test or something, and I'll get the game request coming, and I'll be like, guys, like I can't, like it's just I can't be doing this right now.
I literally open up my laptop and I just see them flooding because it says I'm still on. I'm like, I'm not though.
I'm not on right now.
I haven't played in like a week.
I'm at like 2 weeks, bro. You know what's crazy? We have stopped watching anime. We have stopped gaming.
Damn, really?
Yeah, I'm being dead serious. And somehow, we don't have time for anything. But mind you, I have every morning free, and somehow I don't have time for anything. Like I don't know where all my time is going anymore.
Like I don't know what's going on. Like me and my brother, before, like, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
we were watching anime, we were playing Fortnite like an addiction, and then
Like,
all of a sudden, we just stopped playing Fortnite. We stopped watching anime. The only time me and him sat on the same couch was to record and watch an episode of Halo.
Wait, really?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, right, Halo came out, right?
Yeah,
There's,
like,
4 episodes.
yeah, we're like watching it, but like, so this is the thing, right? So like, 2 hours ago, that's all the time we would say. That's
And
it.
it makes no sense. I'm like, I know I had time.
Like, what were we doing?
What did I do?
Yeah.
And then you realize school, exams are coming. But, at the same time, I wasn't really... I don't feel like I was studying that hard.
what was I doing? Well, we're doing all the time. Like, it's very bizarre because, mind you, we were watching, anywhere between 2 to 3 hours of anime every day and then gaming for, 4 hours. So we were clocking in anywhere between 7 to 8 hours of just entertainment every single day on top of school, studying, and homework. And then suddenly it's exam season, and there's there's no time for anything. And I'm like, what is this? How did I suddenly lose time?
And you know what
also,
the crazy thing is?
Also though,
the professors technically tell you in the beginning of the semester to be studying effectively so that way this doesn't happen. And you think you're studying effectively, and then you review the material and what is this?
What did I just go over?
Week 1 of the material, and you're like, I don't. What is this Chinese? What?
See, but the thing is, I don't actually have exams. I only have 1 exam. I have tests.
Yeah, I have
tests because they
those.
divided everything up into units, and then you just have the unit tests.
Right.
So technically,
that's very different.
Technically, for me in math, all I have to do is study up 2 units. I think.
Same. I have the same thing.
Yeah.
So I have to pass all the unit tests with a specific grade.
Oh right.
And if you fail, if you don't get the specific grade, you don't pass the course. That's basically how it goes. So during exam week, I think I have 1 test during exam week. So it feels like an exam, but it's not an exam. It's like a fake out. it's an exam, but not an exam. So I just stare at it and I don't know. Feels iffy.
No, also I'm taking the advanced version of the program.
Oh.
So at the same time, I'm a part of the Discord, in general for the program.
Yeah, Discord.
So they have the standard section and the advanced section. The mistake is I go and read the standard section. They're like, yeah, we have 2 weeks for this project. I'm like, literally, I had 3 days to do that. What are you saying right now? I'm like, what is going on here? You guys are having the easiest times of your life.
Oh yeah, no, it's really interesting because I was commenting before we started recording how I used to have a lot of classes.
Oh,
And then I got when I got into social working, I dropped down to 5 classes, no lab. So it's because it's all theoretical, right? There's no right. So it's I was having 5 classes, and people were complaining. They're like, dude, this is so much work, so much reading, so much. I'm like, what are you talking about? This isn't that hard. And they're like, no, man, this is killing me. I'm like, are you for real? I'm like, if you can't handle this, what are you gonna do when you have a job?
No, also
and they turn to look at me and they go, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, because when you have a job, it's different now. You're not there just to hang out. I mean, you're there to get paid. And if you don't, perform well in your job, that's how you get fired. And they're like, what? I'm like, that's what school is. Teaching you to perform well. If you can't perform well, it's over. This is where it ends. And then they turn and look at me and they go, wow, I never thought of it like that. Why are you here?
Also, I find it super interesting, and I think I've mentioned this before, is when your professors have a meeting with the entire class, and then they're talking to you, and then they're like, so we just finished the test, and the class average went down, which is to be expected.
Yeah.
And then my first thought is why would you expect your class average to go down? Doesn't that mean failure upon the education system?
That's a good point.
Because, technically, our grades are supposed to be high because we're comprehending. So if we're not comprehending, are you not teaching well?
You should quote that.
Write that down. Make that into a shirt.
I know, right? No, but if you should truly think about that. Do we have to change the way we're teaching our students?
If the average goes down.
If the average is going down, and you're expecting
really
that.
good point.
Okay, well, bro, you've never had to get in line to get an assignment back. That's nerve-wracking. You don't understand. Okay, I've told this story I think 4 times on the podcast, but I'm gonna tell it again because it's traumatizing, man. It's the most traumatizing thing I've ever done in my entire life. let me explain this to you. So we had this big assignment, 30% of our grade.
Damn.
30% of our grade. So and the professor goes, hand in your assignment, and then in a week, come to my office at this time to pick it up.
Wow.
He tells the whole class that. So everybody's outside lined up. I'm the 10th person in line. And I'm like, and all the people in front of me, because also like I'm a social worker, so like there's a lot of females in the program.
Mm-hmm.
So like all these females are in front of me. I'm standing there like, I probably failed this, like, because people are like worried because it was like the first like legit paper I had written, and like it was super thorough, like super complex, and like I had to cite myself properly, and like hopefully I don't get kicked out, like hopefully I didn't rip anything from, like I didn't rip somebody off, like like just making sure everything's like proper, right? And so the first girl goes in and he closes the door. Hser Pwa, she walked out crying.
Oh.
She didn't pass.
Oh damn.
The next girl goes in. She comes out crying. Dude, like 5 people went in and they didn't pass. And I'm like standing there like, oh my gosh, they had like the highest GPA. I'm screwed.
Oh god.
Like this is over. Like I'm already crying and I'm not even in the room yet. And then so next people go and like they're passing like D-, B, no, like
relatable.
C,
Just barely
just
making
like
the mark.
D,
Very relatable.
And then I'm like, okay, so like people are. I get to me and then I'm like, it's probably gonna be like a D-. I'm like, because like the girl who had gone before me, we had done our midterm, and she had like, I think I got like a 75, and she had like a 98 in the class.
Damn.
Right. So like, and she had failed the assignment. I was like, I'm screwed right now. Like those like 20% is what's gonna like throw me over. I walk in, Hser Pwa, I sit down, and he's like, "What's your last name again?" And I go, and I tell him, like, I mean, there's like 100 people, right? So it's like, I tell him, and he goes, "Okay." He's flipping through all of them, and he pulls out. He looks at it. B, nice job.
Damn.
And he hands it to me, and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "It was really well written." He's like, "I like the way you cited like everything," and he's like telling me how like it was really well written. I'm just like standing there like in shock, and I'm like, "Are you for real right now? Like,
are you lying? Am I being punked?"
I'm like, "Where's the camera at?" Like, who's messing with me? Right? And then it's like, he's like, "It was really well done." And I walk out, and like all these other people who like failed, they're like huddled up in like this other area of the hallway, just like bawling. They're like, "I can't believe this." And then like I walk out, and they go, "So what'd you get?" And I'm like, I passed, and they go like, and I didn't want to tell them, and they go that's because I didn't want to make them feel worse, right? Also because like they had seen my like midterm mark because we all compare with each other, and how bad I had done. I didn't want to tell them that the guy who had gotten like a C in the midterm somehow got a B in the thing they failed. So it's like, I'm not gonna do this. So I'm like, that's like the worst. So and that's like a jerk move too. So I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. So I literally like hiding my test, my paper as I'm walking out. I'm like, yeah, this was good. And no joke, Hser Pwa, there were people in that line I had never seen before.
Like, how big is your class?
Oh, okay, there was only like 100 people in that class. Oh, wow. But there were people who never showed up to the class. Like they somehow they handed in the assignment and somehow they showed up to pick it up. But I had never seen them before. It's
because there's those students who like they can self-teach themselves.
Right.
And like lucky. And a lot of professors end up being like, okay, the material will be posted on the website, you just go in, take a look at it. They look at that and for some weird reason they understand it like it's some kind of bubblegum rap comics.
Rap.
No, like it's true. Like they look at it and that's how they comprehend it.
Bro, we gotta take an intermission.
All right, we're gonna take a short break. We'll be right back after this.
These short messages.
There's literally no short messages.
I'm gonna start short messages.
And we're back. Well, you see, we weren't really gone. We just took a brief intermission.
I literally took this intermission, and I forgot to tell you something. Stop playing with that cord.
Oh, right, yeah. I just realized that.
Yeah.
I was like, something was touching my feet, and then, okay.
You were just like, I'm going to play with this with my feet.
You can't see the microphone. You can't see the microphone, but it's, like, in front of us, and I'm, like, doing my best.
I have, like, a really bad, like, feet tapping problem, so, like...
You're a soccer player, I don't blame you.
I have really bad feet tapping problems.
I really enjoy, like, tapping, like, when I... there's like a rhythm in my head.
You know what's crazy? Okay, so this is something I do. I don't know if anybody else does, but I think I've mentioned this before. When I study a specific subject, I'll pick one song and play it on repeat. I'll only study listening to that one song, that subject. So
because there's an advantage
for a whole semester, that's the only song I use for that class. Now, here's the thing. Because most songs, if you listen to them a lot, they'll trigger memories. So I'm in the middle of the exam, and no joke, I'll start singing the song, and chunks of lectures will come back to me. I don't know how it works. I don't know what the science, the psychology behind it is. But this for whatever it works.
I can give the science if you want.
Bro, I don't need the science right now. But it works.
Bro, I'm not going into the medical field just to not use the knowledge.
So there's a lot of stuff I can't. What song was it? There's this. What was like last semester? I used this song called. What was I think it was no, it was don't sing, I'm getting copyright strike.
Oh shoot, right.
No, it was like some I think it was an anime opening actually.
Oh yo.
Yeah, I used an anime opening. So like I have the entire anime opening. I think actually it's an ending. It's an anime ending.
Ah.
But I have like the whole ending. Like I know all the words to the song. I know like all the lyrics to it, and I don't even know what they mean. But I have like the whole song memorized. In my head. I can play the whole song in my head. Like, all of it. From start to finish. You know what though? I did my exam. Passed with flying colors. Because I was just not on my head the whole exam.
I need to try that. That's what you sound like.
Well, here's the thing. This is why this works well for my brother.
Oh.
So, he's an auditory learner. So he's not really like visual, like he doesn't have a strong visual prowess. So he can close his eyes.
Dyslexic. I can't trust my eyes.
I know. So he can close his eyes, listen to a conversation, and he can probably repeat like a good 85% back of what you just said, but with an extended period of time where his brain needs to process that information, of course, right? So here's the thing: with a normal person, not saying I'm normal, with a individual who isn't like my brother.
Hey, bro, you're throwing me under the bus here?
Having a song with lyrics is actually not a good thing for you.
I think I'm starting to realize that.
Yeah,
I've done that a lot.
So if you play a song with lyrics, you'll start singing that song and not move forward in your thought of what you're doing with your task. So what you need to do is, which makes so much more sense now why there's lo-fi lives that go on because they play a bunch of music that doesn't have lyrics and that lets you engage on your task at hand. But here's the thing, they keep playing different songs. If you just pick one song, you activate that neural pathway every time you're doing your work. So when you start thinking about that song, you're using that pathway, which also contains your information.
Real science. Okay.
Real science.
I like that.
Although he just threw me under the bus because I can't trust my eyes. I mean, there's only that, No, but it is interesting, right? Like, they're like the way people learn on stuff. And recently, this paper came out that said that apparently that's all baloney. Like, people don't actually learn like the three methods: are you kinesthetic, a visual learner, or what is it, an audio learner. Apparently, none of that's true. Apparently, it's all fake news.
See,
but then I'm like, what the heck am I? Like, am I like the outlier? Like, is this fake news? Like, what am I supposed to do here?
See, like, it depends on the study. If there's been a literary review on that study, then you could probably take it as more legitimate.
But like, I don't know. I can't remember where it was. Like some when I was in my. I don't know. I subscribe to a bunch of like psychological journals.
Wow.
So every so often, like, I'll get emails of like these journals. I'll read them and like stuff because.
Are you sure it wasn't a theory?
No, I think it was like an actual study. An actual study that was done.
I want to see sample size.
I think it was only like 100 or 150 people, something like that. I know, but like if you can conclude that from like all 100 people that like they're like not one specific one, you know what I mean? Like that kind of.
I mean, okay, so I walk up to a photographic memory. A person who has photographic memory.
I
instantly destroyed your statistic if I ended up having...
But they're an outlier, bro. Do you know how hard it is to run across a person with photographic memory?
Literally, there was one in our school.
I had one too, but like... I have one too, but like that's not the point. Like there's like one every other generation.
Yeah.
It's not like every day there's like 100 of these people being born. Like... There would be
there is actually 7.8 billion people in the world. It's actually highly likely that there's 100 of them being born.
You don't know that though. We don't actually. It's like,
but it's very likely though.
It's like how apparently I can't remember where I was reading where like apparently every single day something like 10,000 sets of twins are born.
Damn.
Like that's how big the population is.
So 10,000 times 2, there's actually 20 people being born that have a twin.
Wow. That's actually That's much bigger than I thought. Like I thought it was much lower.
Yeah, right. So like, but it's crazy, right? Like, you think it'd be like less than that because like it's so rare to see twins. Yeah. But realistically, it's actually not because this is the whole planet, like the whole planet.
Yeah,
like so then it's like actually there's like nobody. There's like nobody's being born. Like it's 2 of them, but apparently that's not enough.
What were you talking about? Sets of twins?
What the twins? What about the twins?
Like how interesting? Like
No, how you to have somebody born the same day.
Oh
as
no,
you.
to have somebody born in the same week.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Right.
So all through elementary school, my sister's best friend's little sister was born 24 hours before me.
oh damn.
So all through elementary school, she was always older than me. Like, just there was
The
just,
whole
like,
day.
That was gonna change. Like everybody else born before July, quite literally, was older than you. That wasn't gonna change.
But like it was this thing where like, and we have like this ongoing thing like every year we'll like text each other. Like this is the only reason we're still in touch. It's like we'll be like happy birthday, and then like literally
next day,
at
happy
midnight. No,
birthday.
at midnight I'll be like happy birthday, and then like when it's my time at midnight she'll be like happy birthday because
That's
it's
funny,
like
that's
one
funny.
after another. Like it's really funny, but
It's like back to back.
Yeah.
But we've also like because of that like also because like our sisters are still best friends and all that.
Yeah.
Like we hear about each other more. Like it's so bizarre because like I barely know this person, but I interact with them and like
I know
like
you, but I don't know you.
But
I know you through affiliation.
yeah, but it's like but I actually know you because I went to school with you.
yeah.
So it's like it's odd.
I like
yeah.
that. I like that.
But yeah, it's true what he's saying though. I remember that one time we had to like I had someone try to like they're like get yourselves in order from oldest to youngest without saying a single word or writing anything down. Like how do you explain that, right?
Yeah.
So someone worked out a system. Month, right?
Oh.
Month,
okay,
and then we're like, so month, and here's the problem. What do you do if you have 12 months? You only got 10 fingers.
usually I got 2 toes.
literally,
No, right,
Literally,
so
all you
it's
have to do is this.
yeah, that makes
Right,
sense.
but like, right, so like, people were trying to figure this out.
Or you could just use sign language where you count.
But we don't know sign language, right? We
I'm not gonna start teaching you.
We
We
were-
starts doing like
Sorry, Naruto.
You were gonna stop.
It's like trying to conjure up a shadow clone in here, and I'm like, I'm just trying to learn how to count, bro. My fingers. So this, I think we were like in grade 6 when they made us do this, and like they put us like I can't remember who said it was somebody who said to do this. I can't remember who, and so we're trying to work this out, right? And then this one kid, I remember he was at the front of the line, okay, and then she was like, okay, so when's your birthday? December 3rd, and we're all like, okay, he's definitely in the wrong spot. So down in my mind, he's in the wrong spot. And then the person right after him, January 3rd, and
Oh
we're
my
like,
God.
of course. Like, we already failed. The first guy, why are you there? You should be at the back of the line. It's like, I thought this was the
Messed you
back
up
of the
that
line.
early.
Yeah. But it's
damn.
like, it was funny because like there were people who were like a few days off like from getting it right. And it was interesting like how we were able to get in line, like vaguely communicate enough to like get ourselves in order. They're like, this is what it was like. Oh, I remember why this was an actual lesson. It was like, this is what it was like trying to communicate to the natives when the British came.
Oh.
Because they didn't speak the same language.
That's how they did it?
Well, no, just trying to figure
Like
it out.
gestures and stuff,
Just
right?
gestures and stuff
That
because
makes sense, I
they
guess,
couldn't
yeah.
understand each other. Like when they talked, like they didn't know what the other was saying to each
Yeah.
other. So like this is what it was like, and I'm like, I just sat there thinking, I'm like, wow, that's dumb.
There was
Why are
that
we-
one guy who sat down with a native speaker and then just sat down, was just like, okay, what's this? And then they say it out loud, they write it down, and then write translation.
Oh.
And then you can go like that,
like
learning-
word by word.
word
Yeah,
by
yeah,
word.
that makes sense.
But like
kinda cool.
the sub words would be the interesting parts, like the and of. That would be interesting to figure out.
Well, I had in grade 8. I had a teacher who she went to university in Toronto, I think, or maybe. I don't know. She went to university somewhere. I know she's education teacher. Anyway, I mean, like, what am I supposed to... anyway, all I remember is she told us how she took this one class called English as a Second Language. And you're thinking, that's an ESL class. Why is she taking an ESL class as a Canadian-born person? But that's not what the class was. The class was to experience what it was like to be a person learning English as a second language. She says that the first day of class, a professor walked in and started yelling at them in Greek.
Oh, God.
And they're like, no one in the room spoke Greek. Like, no one understood what was even going on.
Imagine
Yeah.
that one guy who walks in and is like, I understand.
Yeah, no, but you know what I
I
mean?
took
Like,
class
and
once.
she's like, and this guy is like trying to tell us Like, you know, like, we had no idea what he was trying to tell us. And he's just yelling at us, and we're like, you're like, sir, calm down. Like, we don't, but that's just aggravating him more because he thinks we're, like, attacking him, but we don't know what's going right. And then she's like, and so this guy storms out. And then, like, our actual professor walks in, and she's like, so how did that feel? And they're like, what do you mean? She's like, that's what it feels like when you come to Canada and you don't speak English. You can talk, but nobody understands you. And then it, like, she's like, and that's when it hit me. I need to learn more languages.
Yeah.
Like, but it's strange, right? It's an interesting experiment. She's like, it's also like the weirdest class I've ever had. Because like that's how it started. Like just some random guy came in and started yelling at us.
Yeah, I wish I could recall when I learned English, because
You can't recall it?
I was so young back then, so it's just like you kind of just.
Hser Pwa, you want to know something? I can't recall it either.
Yeah, that's
Because
weird, huh?
I
What
mean,
was it, grade two?
I was born.
You started learning?
Grade 1 when I
Grade
came.
1. Yeah, grade 1. He started learning. And
Okay,
then
man.
He was
So, like,
partnered
in
up
my
with
case,
me,
like, the-
Thomas and a few other
Like the thing with us is that we were like we like at home, we were learning 2 languages simultaneously at the same time.
Oh, gosh.
Not only was that the issue, but mind you, I started school and then it became 3.
Oh, God.
So I was learning 3 languages simultaneously at the same time. So like it's not to say that like I can pinpoint when and where. Like I'm assuming I started learning French like at the age of 4, but like
Wow.
other than that,
I mean, I started learning French in kindergarten.
right. So you're
But I
4.
didn't understand what the hell was going on to be
Right, but technically you could say that that's the moment where you started learning French.
Yeah.
Right. Mind you, I barely speak French. Like I understand a lot of French,
Oh,
but if you ask me like a
That's
question,
good.
like I'm gonna have to think about it because also it's been like I stopped taking French in grade 9.
Oh, wow.
So like it's been like what?
That's a lot of years.
Give me a sec here. It's like this 6. It's been 9 years since I took French. Since I've had any like proper
Damn.
French education. That's actually crazy. It's almost been
I
a
haven't
decade.
had
decade,
French
Jesus.
since grade 9.
Yeah, I think me too.
No, it's actually been 10 years.
Yeah, for you, right? That's
It's
crazy.
actually been 10 years, yeah. Because I'm 24 and I was
10,
14 when I
11,
stopped
12.
taking French.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
It's been 4 years since I've taken French.
Right.
I don't think we were this in class. It sucked.
Did you take French like all through high
I
school?
only took it for grade 9 because that was like the required.
Yeah.
I know.
I actually
Yeah,
passed it.
literally
I passed it
everyone.
surprisingly.
Okay, look,
almost everybody I knew was like, okay, only until grade 9. Let's get out.
Yeah, like
Only
it's
the
'cause,
French
like,
immersions
it's
were
'cause we
like,
don't-
we're sticking with it.
we don't see like the value in it, but like especially in this city though, it's like the one.
Yeah,
it's
in Ottawa.
it's that interview question where like you're like they ask you like, so,
you bilingual?
Are you bilingual? And like I actually had a professor, who he was like, so who's bilingual in the room? And the thing was is like at the time like I was doing this placement in this like immigration office, and like I was helping clients who spoke Spanish.
Oh.
And he had seen me like do this, mind you. Also, it also helped that my supervisor also spoke Spanish, so like we would communicate in Spanish. Like, I lived some of the weirdest things at that place. Like
You felt like you weren't in Canada.
there were moments where I felt like I wasn't in Canada because like I would walk into like a meeting and everybody in the meeting spoke Spanish, so the whole meeting was conducted in Spanish. And then they turned to me like, "Oh, Adrian, you understand, right?" Because like they knew I was like Latino. So they turned to me like, "Oh, Adrian, you know what's going on, right?" I'm like, "Of course I understand what's going on. Like I would have left if I didn't understand." And they're like, "Oh, okay, so this is fine." So they just proceed to keep going in Spanish. But like it was bizarre because like I'm in like a proper meeting, and not a word of English was like actually spoken. Like everything
Yeah.
important that was discussed in a different language. I'm like, is this? Are we allowed to do this? Like, are we breaking any laws? Like, I don't think like this is okay. Like, who's
as long
writing
as the information actually gets submitted, it's
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So, but so anyway, this professor he worked at that place where I was like doing my placement, and he asked us who here is bilingual, and like people who like had done French immersion put their hand up, and he turns to us like, Adrian, don't ever let anybody tell you they're not bilingual. Like he called me out, like in front of everybody. He's like, your hand better go up because I don't want to hear. And I was like, but technically, he's like, you're bilingual and I don't want to hear. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, but it was one of those things, right? Because technically, on planet Earth, I am bilingual.
Definitely.
In this country, though, I technically don't qualify as bilingual because it's only English, like it's English and French, right? And those are like the only 2 things that they like require. And then he's like, but picture this. He's like, if all of us were to suddenly move to America, he's the first one to get a job.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, because in America, everybody speak either English or Spanish. He's like, sure, there's like little communities randomly near the north of wherever where they speak French. He's like, But that's super rare. Well, you gonna live in the middle of nowhere? Like, oh, you want to live in LA or like Miami or like Boston or whatever. But like people here, like that's how it works, right? He's like, meanwhile, he's like in Canada, it's just total disarray. Yeah. Like everything's just a mixed bag. Because no, it's true. Because like there are areas in Canada where like people will speak only like a specific language. Like there's an area in Toronto where almost everybody in that area speaks Italian. Really? And there are people who like can go like their whole life just speaking Italian.
Yeah.
Damn.
If they live in that area, because like all the vendors, all the stores, like all the shops.
There's also a Spanish district.
Yeah.
Where like it's a bunch of like Latino, like shops and like grocery stores and stuff like that. And you walk in, you just start speaking Spanish.
Your banker speaks Spanish, like everybody.
Damn.
Like so, like there are areas, and in Vancouver, the other thing that's like popped up over there is Mandarin.
Mandarin,
because there's like a lot of Chinese immigrants there.
Okay.
So like a lot of people there speak Mandarin, and like if you go to the Vancouver airport, it'll say "Welcome to Canada" in English, in French, and in Mandarin.
Damn, so it's that big, huh?
Yeah, it's like because they have a very big Asian community there, and it's like it's crazy to think about. And you're like, wow, like this country's so big, but at the same time, like, why are we doing this to ourselves?
Yeah.
Like, why are we overcomplicating it? Like, let's be real here. Like, it's also like how what's the language that they speak in India?
Hindu.
Hindu is the second language growing in Canada right now.
Really?
Because there's a lot of Indians in Canada now, and
That's really interesting.
And there's like way more. There's like so many more Hindus now because of that. And what's
the crazy thing is that they're also bringing their other dialects with them as well.
Yeah, like so, like it's growing the population. Like you'd think it'd be Arabic, right?
Yeah,
because like there's a lot of like Middle Eastern immigrations to Canada. But what's really cool is that when you look at all of these populations, like this is crazy. Like so many like there's so many you really sit back and you're like, why there's so many languages? Like who did this? Who was out there? Like I'm gonna create a new language, and then I don't know, my whole family's gonna speak this, and that's how we're gonna talk. Like
I mean, it's not that hard to create your own language.
I mean, I'm not J.R.R. Tolkien, but I'm gonna be honest. Like that guy,
that man created I think it was like 27 different dialects just for his books.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
A dialect that actually like people can understand.
You know the guy who wrote the Lord of the Rings. You know that
you can speak Elvish, you can speak Orc, you can speak like
Dwarven, and then the Southern Orcs and like the Northern Orcs had their own dialect.
Wow.
Same with like the Elves, like all the like different.
The Woodland Elves had their own dialect.
Northern Elves. Like,
was that detailed?
Elves.
It's absurd. Like it's honest. It's honestly.
That's why you see like people who like to go to Comic-Con and they dress up and they start talking in the language. It's not like they're just reading lines of the movie. It's legitimate language that they can speak.
Wow. It's like you can actually get it like a certificate that you can speak it and write it. It's like certificate. You can do it online, man. Like it's like a legit thing. Like I'm
even Klingon from Star Trek. It's a full-on language.
I don't watch Star Trek, but I know it.
I like how you pointed at the camera. I don't watch Star Trek, but I know what it is.
I've seen some of the characters.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
It's literally like Star Wars. Just
that's how a lot of people say
on like steroids.
It's not Star Wars.
It's because it's very political and like very
you're gonna get canceled.
No, I mean like it's in space and like there's like government.
Okay, so here's the similarities. There's space and there's future technology.
And there's a federation.
And there you go. That's
some of the characters scare me because they're like very like they look very dead inside when they talk. Yeah, maybe that's the one.
Or like all the synthetics, like
they just
because they're robots.
They're robots.
They're synthetic. Synthetical.
That's why they're called synthetics. Like Data.
Wasn't that who was that actor who plays Professor X? But he's in the
Jean-Luc Picard.
That's his character.
Yeah,
but
I did not know that was
his real name is Sir. What is it, Sir
Patrick Stewart?
Oh, Sir Patrick Stewart, not
because he's knighted.
No, Jean-Luc Picard is his name.
That's his character's name.
That's his character.
Yeah, because he plays a French character, although he's.
That's a cool. Okay, that's a cool name.
It's a cool name, right?
Yeah.
I just love saying it like that. Jean-Luc Picard.
It also helps that you speak French.
Oui.
but like honestly, like
even though I kind of said it in a British accent, it's fine.
But it's funny though, like because there are these like things are like, it's funny that like people like he's knighted, for example, so you have to say Sir Patrick Stewart because he's knighted.
Am I knighted?
No.
Okay. You can't be knighted.
You can't be knighted.
I just want to mention that my first.
Not unless you pledge to the Queen.
Well, my name starts like Sir. You could just make like Pwa my first name instead.
Yeah, but it's like not.
I have like a very like terrible version of like the Naiden name, so it's like the off-brand.
It's the
knockoff.
It's like the Walmart edition.
Yeah, they always confuse the teachers for some reason.
They're like Hser Pwa, so Paula.
No, they say Hser Pwa.
It's like one teacher said like a very rude like first name. I don't think I can say it because
Yeah.
Just say your first name. You don't have to say the last name.
No, like how they pronounce it for some reason.
We're running out of time here.
All right, guys.
Wait, no, don't wrap up.
Okay.
We're gonna take another intermission, and then we're gonna come back and wrap up.
All right.
Yeah.
And we're back once more.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Yeah, I don't know
So Paula was gonna make a brief story
about his name.
about his name and what happened in middle school.
Should I continue?
Yeah. No, just start from the beginning.
Wait, am I allowed to say that word?
Yeah, sure.
Sure,
Okay,
go
right,
for it.
so
I don't really
this is
care.
back in, I think it was back in grade. I think it was grade 8. It has to be. It was like there was like a special day where we got to be in like other classes.
Oh
And
yeah.
And I was in like this French class with like these other French kids. I hate the Frenchies. By the
French
way,
fries.
I just wanna the English and French, they don't get along in that school.
It's I don't know why that was a thing.
Yeah, I think like it
we
developed.
call them Frenchies or French fries, and then when we play soccer, we divide each other.
Definitely a divide,
It wasn't that there was a divide. It was just that like a lot of them had like this sense of entitlement.
Oh, definitely.
Because they spoke
Literally, you said that. Like,
another
few students showed up into my head, and I felt
another
so bad.
language, right?
Yeah.
And like, but there were some who like they were like decent human beings, which were most of them because we're in Canada, mind you. I mean, like it's our culture, and like we can't fix that. Like that's just how it is. Like that, like people like you don't understand. Like I'll be like on a Fortnite lobby, be like, dude, why are you so nice? And I'm like, that's my culture. Like what am I supposed to do?
Canada.
Like just not be
Our
my
culture
culture.
is be nice and absorb all other culture. That's what Canada's culture is.
Very well put.
We coined multiculturalism, bro.
Yeah.
That's literally. We have a minister for culture.
Yeah.
Do you know what that's like? Imagine being that guy.
Yeah, I met the previous minister.
Whoa. Damn. That's kind of cool. Yeah. I like that. Okay.
All right. Anyway, continue with the story.
Right. Sorry.
I distracted you.
So the lady was like the lady who was like teaching that French session with like some English students, me included. She was going through the names, right? And then she came across my name for some reason. Well, so my first name is spelled Hsern. It's pronounced Sir. Very simple because H is silent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so for some reason she pronounces it as like whore, and I'm like, wait, am I the only person who heard this?
And everybody in the class was just like
the logic did not make sense. I was like, Miss, I'm sorry, but that's not correct. And I corrected her. Then the teacher got angry at me. The French teacher on the side, Mr. Yeah, him. He got angry at me. I was like, why are you angry at me? She just insulted my name for some reason, and I couldn't say anything.
I had this teacher in my first year of college. I don't know where she was from, but she was Asian, and she had a really thick accent, and she could not for the life of her pronounce my name. Like she would try like every because we were
like really like strong R accent.
No, we were like a 20 to 25 people class. So every class she would do the attendance, and because it was like a small class because it was like a lab or whatever. So we were a small class, like tiny class, like compared to like university or college or whatever, like that's not even a class at this point. Like why are you But it was crazy, right? Because she couldn't pronounce it, and like after like 2 months, I'm like I need to address this. Like this, it's just because it kept getting worse. Like somehow it was
progressing into some other name.
Yeah, I was like turning into somebody else. Like that's not me. Like we gotta like address this. And then I'm like, and then she figured out. I'm like, can you say my last name?
Oh.
And she could say my last name. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Just call me by my last name. Like as long as like we're on the same page. Like I don't care, right? So then she started calling me by my last name, and that was like the thing, right? She was like, okay, and excuse me. After that, every time I run into her, she calls me by my last name. Still to this day, like if I run into her like in the campus or whatever, she calls me by my last name, which is kind of funny because like that's like the kind of thing. She also, mind you, was a professor who taught me never to be late in life. You're laughing, but I'm dead serious. This one time, I was on the bus and I showed up 5 minutes late to class. She had locked the door.
Oh.
And I was like knocking on the door. And I was like, yo, let me in.
Dude, I've seen those before. It's so awkward.
Okay, wait. And so she opens the door. And she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm here for the class. And she goes, okay, my class started 5 minutes ago. You're late. And then I'm like, okay, well, can I get in? And she goes, the break's in an hour.
Oh.
And then I'm like, okay, but like,
I would have gotten so mad at her.
And she goes, okay, mind you, I was mad because there had been like this huge snowstorm.
Yeah.
Like technically it wasn't my fault.
Can't
like
control it, man.
And then she goes, well, she's like, you knew the conditions. Like you could have taken an earlier bus.
Oh, broke wall.
And I'm like, okay. I'm like, fine. You know what, Hser Pwa? After that day, I beat her every class to the class.
Oh.
I would beat her to the class. Every single class. I would be there 30 minutes early.
Yeah.
Just like out of spite.
Oh,
like I was like, never again.
In that moment, I would have become a lawyer. I would have been like, I'm paying for this education, and you're denying me this service.
No, but you know what? Like, but it was a good thing though, right?
Yeah.
Like
it woke you up to the standard of like, yeah, I shouldn't be late.
Yeah.
To something like this.
Right. Yeah. I remember this one time there was like this whole like. There was like an assignment or something in our class, and these because like in a different section of the program, they had this lecture, and the professor went over, and they were like, "Oh, like you'll be fine. Like just tell the professor, and I'm sure they'll let you in." And they all got locked out of the room. There was like 20 people standing outside the room waiting for like the breaks so they could walk in the room. It was crazy. I was like, man, she's ruthless. Yeah, but you know what? She was a really good teacher. Like as a professor, she was like. She was really like articulate. She articulated the thought properly, where it was understandable, as opposed to someone who just throws information at you.
So she was making her classes like comprehensible instead of just like, this is the box. You gotta learn the inside.
No, because she would be like, so this is how you do it, and she'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna just show you, and she'd start doing it. Like, because at the time I was like coding, so she'd be she'd just like sit at the computer and physically just start coding out.
So she like explain it and then give you a proper example breakdown.
Right, and like the other thing too is like whenever like we had assignments, she would do them in class beforehand. Like or like a variation of it, so that way you had an idea of what was expected, as opposed to like, here are the instructions, and like I'm sure you've had an assignment where like, what is this? Like, what am I supposed to... Like, you're staring at... Like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with this. Like, I've had those assignments where, like, there's no thought process behind, like, the
assignment.
The assignment. No, it's true. Like, I had this one professor where, like, she's talking about an assignment, and we literally... one of my classmates was like, Miss, there's no example or, like, instructions, actually, of the assignment. Like on online, and she goes, what? And we go, yeah. And she had been talking about this assignment for 2 weeks then. Ooh. And then she like checked, and she's like, well, it's good to know that I've been talking about something for 2 weeks, and we have no idea what I'm talking about, so it's up now. You can see it. And we're like, thanks.
Yeah, that just says a lot about your class. No one said anything.
Well, like,
my goodness.
Because like, okay, so because like this assignment was due literally like a few days ago, or not, like I think like 2 weeks ago. But she started talking about it in February. Do you understand? Like, February. You know how long ago February was? That was like a lifetime ago, like at this point. She was talking about it in February, okay? So we're like, it was so early. Like, this thing's due in April, so like maybe she's just explaining it. That way, like, we have an idea of what it is, right? No one's worrying, no one's panicking. We're like, this will be fine, right? And then she's like, so next week. And we're like, wait, next week? And then that's when someone said something. So like, and then like the ball started rolling. We're like, okay, whoa. Take a step back.
I find like the biggest issue is when professors have so many classes and then they confuse you with like the other section. Oh. And then they start handing you stuff and like, wait, whoa, hold up, back up a minute.
We didn't talk about this.
We haven't talked about this yet, or this is last week's work. I'm not doing this again.
I had a professor who he would mark in his like in the textbook like where he stopped. Like he would put like the section number. But here's what happened. And then he lost his textbook.
Oh my god.
They had no idea where everybody was. He was like, does everyone know what chapter we were on last week? We're like, sir, you posted the slides. And then he's like, what slides do a chapter? I'm like, I don't know. You gave it some random title.
Oh, that's tough.
So like flipping through the slides, like, okay, this is chapter 6. It's chapter 6. All right, let's start on chapter 7.
Oh, geez.
But it was
That's
also he had like the funniest things happen. Like every time he would like try to write on like a whiteboard, he would pull out markers, okay?
Oh my god.
And he'd start writing, and as he'd write it, it'd slowly start fading. Like, throw it out, grab another one, start writing, slowly start fading, throw it out. He would go through this like so much, and like I remember when we ended the semester, this girl bought him like a whole set of markers.
Oh my gosh.
Because she's like, I don't want this to happen to you. Like, this is unbelievable.
This hurts me.
No, because like it would be really funny because he'd be like writing on the whiteboard, and then suddenly like it just started fading because of you running out of ink.
It's like secondhand pain.
It was just so bad.
Where you're witnessing the guy who suffers trying to write on.
Dude, I was
That's
suffering.
funny.
He
Yeah,
was
he's
like,
just like-
he was the most. I've never had a professor who was super down to earth. Like, if I didn't have him as a professor, I'd be like, yo, like I'd hang out with you. Like, I'd be
there's
friends.
some teachers and like some professors.
They're
that
just so cool.
They're
huh?
just so chill. Like I would be your friend.
Yeah.
If I could be your friend, you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
It's
We
odd.
graduate
Like,
soon.
it's
It's like I'm gonna graduate.
no,
soon,
it's
yeah.
a very odd feeling. I also had a professor who, when I started college, he's like, "Yo, we're gonna meet up at this bar like in downtown." I'm like, "Sir, I'm still underage. Like, I can't drink." And he's like,
Get you a Coke.
no, it's like we'll get you a Coke or a ginger ale, whatever.
Yeah, man.
He's like, just show up. So like, we all there's like 40 of us who like
Damn.
show up, and
Show
we're
up
like,
with
and he bought everybody a drink, and then he's like, and then he looks at us like, Adrian, next time we'll do it on the other side, you know, that way, you know, you can partake. And then I was like, sir, it's okay. I don't drink. And he goes, wait, what, seriously? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I just like, it's a long story. I'm not gonna get into it. But it was
Not
really,
my thing.
it was really funny because like he was like trying to be accommodating. It's like, yo, because like
We'll go to the Quebec.
for those who don't know, like we can cross to the other side on Quebec, and in Quebec you can legally start drinking at 18. But in Ontario, you can't start drinking till you're 19.
Don't get any ideas.
That's when I found out. I was like, oh, I turned 18 now. I think I could drink now. And I was like, wait, pause. I'm not one. Never mind.
No.
You know what's crazy? You know what's really funny for me is the fact that like every now and then I'll like walk by. I'm like, I could walk in there like at any moment.
Yeah.
Because I'm an adult. But then like at the same time like do I feel like one though? I'll start asking myself like I don't feel like an adult.
Do I
though.
doubt my adulthood?
All the time, bro. Night and day.
It's funny because now we walk by the beer store sometimes.
Yeah.
We go to a certain place to eat, and then I'm like, so bro, when are you gonna buy me my beer? You know, so I can cook my chicken.
It's so weird though, because
Because like yeah.
Victor and me we're both like what? Wait, Victor's like 5 days older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Said like that every day. I was like, wait a minute, he's older than me.
Yeah, like since like we're technically like adults now,
Yeah.
it's so different. Like,
yeah. It
what
doesn't. I don't feel it changed, to be honest.
Really? I walk
Yeah.
outside I'm like I'm
You're like,
not-
I got responsibilities that technically you kind of already had.
yeah,
You just didn't realize you had them until that number changed from a 7 to an 8.
pretty sure like don't get angry. I think I forgot to vote.
Oh yeah, I chose to not vote because I hadn't been informing myself.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't like.
I've been voting. I've been voting like every year since I could.
Respect.
Oh no!
like,
Look. Here's the thing.
Let me go first.
Okay, no, wait, no. Let me explain why
Okay,
I have to vote every year. Let me explain this to you. Okay, so like I give my sister a lot of pain because I mean stress. Let's say stress. Stress is a better word. I give her a lot of stress because she can vote, and there's been a few times where she hasn't. So and I'm like, especially you as a female. You know, people have died for this in some places. Like you should
have this ability.
You know, to have this ability. Like not to say me. I'm clearly like I'm not the example. As a guy, like nothing.
You've always been able to.
I've always been able to say whatever I want. Like that's just it, right? But like in your case though, like think about it like this. I'm like there are people, like there are women who put their life on the line for this. And you're just not gonna like adhere to like so their sacrifice was in vain is what you're saying. She's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. She's like, I just don't know. I'm like, well, you have to make a decision, so go for it. And then she's like, okay, so and every time we have to vote, like me and her will go together. So that's why I've been voting, and that's really what it is, right? Because I'm like ultimately like historically like people have suffered for this, like so like it's like a nice motivation behind it, but at the same time like. You just gotta read the news, man.
No, honestly, like it's not that I wasn't informed about like what was going on, like the politics and stuff like that. It's more like I didn't feel I was because like literally it happened in October.
Yeah,
I had literally just turned.
18.
I literally just turned 18. I'm like I don't feel that much adult yet.
I think it's been like 2 weeks since you turned 18.
Yeah, I was like I need to let this sit. You know, like sink in, like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Before I start making, like, decisions that can actually weigh the change.
Affect our government.
Yeah, that can actually affect our government.
Imagine they won by that one. They won
by one vote, and it was just me throwing it in there.
Crazy.
It's like filling in the ballot.
It's just like Harambe.
You could be like other.
I'm gonna vote myself.
There was one.
I voted.
You should run. I'll vote for you.
It's actually been a topic of discussion.
We had this discussion once. They're like, "What if you ran for prime minister?" And he's like, "What? Like, imagine the campaign we could have." I'm like, "Imagine though, like the kind of conversations we would have on this podcast."
See, because I have the immigration aspect with my brother, him being a social worker. I have the medical side of like the healthcare system of how it's.
You also have the last name.
Yeah.
You also.
That last name, I can see like on billboards.
Yeah, and then we have my sister who has dealt with homeless and has also done case working. So there's the law aspect.
Damn.
So technically
We're ready.
I could technically
Do it. You can get my first exclusive vote.
You can't be telling people who you won more.
He's getting exclusivity somehow now. I don't know how this is happening, but it's like actually been a topic of like discussion.
Right.
You definitely look into it. Yeah, I like
No,
that.
I don't. No.
when your brain's like, okay, I can.
When my brain feels like it, maybe. Maybe when I'm 35, I'm like,
yeah,
why not? I'm bored.
Start a new party.
Start a new party.
You know what is it? If you apparently if you start a new party, and even if one of the people in your party makes it to the House of Commons, you automatically start getting funding from the government.
What?
Yeah.
Really? All right, so Paula, how would you like to start working for the?
No, but that's how it works, because otherwise, like, the party can't keep going.
Oh yeah.
Right. So and they need funding. So like the government
sense.
will start funding you, and then all of that's public knowledge. Like it's posted on like the Canadian.
See,
like
that's
you can see
that's
how
the
much.
other
you're
thing.
doing.
Like my whole life will be plastered out there, even though I'm already going out and plastering myself out there.
True.
How many people? Imagine people's votes swayed by this podcast, right? You know what I mean? Like if you truly think about it, I've given my opinion way too much.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things people would disagree about, but I'm just spitting facts, not gonna lie.
Just spit facts.
I'm just saying the truth that y'all don't want to hear. But at the same time, like, there's a lot of like things that I shouldn't have said at this point in time. Like my brother does a really good job of editing it out, but like I still have the right to my opinion, and I do voice it sometimes.
I mean, yeah, like there are times where I'm like, I should cut that. It's like, no, you better leave that in. I'm like, okay.
I'm just
like,
saying the truth.
But like, because they're like, obviously, like, also like, because. Like I said, I'm just trying not to get canceled. That's what
Yeah, that's honestly it. We're trying to be as inclusive as we possibly can. If you're some guy who murdered somebody, but you've done your time, stay.
But if you're running from the law, please get lost.
No, but if you're running from the law, turn yourself in. Find a good lawyer. You know, do it right.
I don't understand the people who like. You know when they're getting pulled over and they start to zoom in and stuff.
I know.
It's like, if
like,
you
you're
just
making
stop,
it worse.
Yeah, you're making it worse.
Yeah.
Okay, look. Imagine. You get pulled. A cop tries to pull you over. This can go one of three ways. One, your blinker light was just not turning on, and then you thought you were speeding, and then you just zoomed away, and they were about to give you a warning, or like check your light.
Yeah.
And they were gonna let you go. Or you were legitimate speeding, and then you're just gonna have to pay $155,000 fine. No, not $155. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
$155 fine.
Congrats.
Congrats. But you just ran away. Now you're a running criminal. And you just raised your fee to prison.
And you sped away.
Yeah, and you sped away. So you've done two crimes. One, you ran away from the law. And the second, you just violated speeding.
Yeah. It's like...
You just made it even worse. No, like, what is it? Like, I met a cop who he was telling us this great story. I think I've told it on the podcast before.
Hey.
He was like, I was at Tim Hortons. It's like 6 a.m. He's like, I'm walking out. There's this guy walking out of his car. He's like, and I go, hey, you, and he like puts his hands up. And I go, okay, I guess like I put my coffee down on the sidewalk. I go, you have the right. He's like, I'm saying it's right. I have no idea why I'm arresting him, mind you. I was just going to tell him that he had left his headlights on. But he put his hands up. So obviously he had done something.
Sus.
He's like, it's obviously, something was up. He's like, so I'm telling him his rights, and like, he's like a lawyer or whatever. It's like, I put him in my cruise. I close the door. I go back to the car. I'm like, maybe there's drugs in here. Maybe there's like a gun. Maybe there's something in the car. Like, the car is all I can tell. It's like, I'm going to the car. There's nothing. And then I'm like, I pop the trunk, there's this kidnapped girl inside the trunk. Like, he's like, he's like, mind you, just by chance. Like, I had no idea.
He's like, I was just getting my Timmy's cup of coffee.
I was just getting a cup of coffee in the morning. He's like, I just started my shift. It's like at 6 a.m. I just started my shift. He's like, I was having a cup of coffee. He's like, and like usually I go through drive-thru, but that one day I was like, you know what? I need to stretch my legs. He's like, I had gone to the gym the day before. I was feeling a little sore. Like, you know what? I need to walk around a little, like, you know, get the blood flowing, whatever.
That's crazy.
So she's like, I walk into Tim Hortons, walk out of Tim Hortons, and I'm arresting a guy for an apparent no reason. But it turns out he was a kidnapper. So here we are. Like, and he's like, and that has happened to me 5 or 6 times in my career.
Damn.
Or just by chance, he's like, I ran into somebody, and like
it's just because they see the uniform,
right?
And then they're like, damn it, like
they immediately think
they immediately think they found me. Like they knew all along they were looking for me.
Yeah.
Because like that's the anxiety people have. Yeah. People can commit a crime. No one witnessed it. Like, no one witnessed it. No one even knows what you've just done. But the fact that they see the uniform, they're like, oh, shoot, they know.
Yeah.
And then they screw up. They're bad criminals when you suck at doing your job.
Well, Canada has a reputation of never letting a criminal go.
Yeah.
Like, we get you. Like, you're not getting away. Like,
we're gonna
even if it takes us a year, we're going to get you. Like, the chase doesn't stop.
I mean, like, imagine this. I get brutally murdered, my guts everywhere.
Oh.
Okay. God forbid. Anyways, I get brutally murdered off to the side. Sorry, YouTube. And then the cops would start doing an investigation. Imagine this guy. And I probably provoked the person to kill me. Let's be real here, because I'm that kind of guy.
So confrontational.
Yeah, I am confrontational. So he's holding the gun up to me, and I'd be like, you kill me, you're going to be arrested for the rest of your life. Because I know as a fact that Canada's going to do everything in their power to catch this person. Mm-hmm. So I literally tell them where they're going to go before I die.
No, like there was an incident that happened in the West End.
Oh.
And like where there was like a shooting and it was a whole thing. And like I think one person like died and one person got like severely injured or something. And it's been like 6 months since this happened. Like 6 months, okay? And like 2 or 3 weeks ago, they announced that they caught the guy, like on the other end of the province. Oh, like the guy had been running that long, like, and they were like, "This guy, we got him." It was more like, "We got him. We told you, we got him."
You went that far. Wow.
Yeah, but it's more or less like we're not gonna let this guy get right, and it's like that attitude because it's like there's nowhere you can run from us. Like, I can get jurisdiction outside of this country. I'm gonna get you.
Can't really go north, you know. Well, it's like.
I mean, like, the only place, like, you could run... Actually, I shouldn't be saying that out loud.
Bro, somebody doesn't maybe you should wrap up.
Yeah, maybe I should wrap up. Okay, guys, this has been Two Latin Brothers Podcast. Everything's always in the description, whether it be up, down, left, or right. Make sure to leave your own description in the comment section down below.
Bro, stop telling people to leave your own description in the comments.
Anyways, make sure to share with your rooster, share with your chinchilla, your rooster, your donkey, your deer, your... I don't know, your... axolotl, I don't know. Just share with everybody and anything. If you can just press play and let it just be your white noise in the background while you study, go ahead and just listen in when you can.
After you just said that's not a good idea.
Yeah, after I just said it's not a good idea. Anyways, do it. Make sure to check out last week's episode if you haven't already, and we'll leave everything in the link down below, his Instagram. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Bye.
See ya.